Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to look at Arbitrum Stylus module from Modules by Xcode. When you click on Start Learning, you will be redirected to speedrunstylus.com. Speedrun Stylus is a platform for any developer to learn about Arbitrum Stylus. It covers basic challenges like counter example, NFT example to some advanced ones like zero knowledge proofs and DeFi agents. For this video, we are going to try vending machine challenge. Here, you will be able to see all the instructions step by step. So let's start with checkpoint 0. As you can see, we need to clone the repo. So you can go to the IDE of your choice and open up one folder. I will name it Speedrun Vending and open this folder in cursor. Here, I will clone the repo with a specific branch called vending-machine. Once the repo is cloned, I can see the Speedrun Stylus directory. It has one subdirectory called packages that has two subdirectories, Cargo Stylus and Next.js. Cargo Stylus has smart contracts written in Rust, and Next.js contains code base for the frontend. Now we need to change the current directory to speedrun-stylus and then run yarn install command to install the dependencies. Once the dependencies are installed, we can go to the next step, which is to change the current directory to vendor underscore machine directory. Once you are in this directory, you need to run this command, which runs this script. The script starts development node in Docker. So before you run this script, make sure your Docker is running in the background. And then it uses cargo stylus deploy command to deploy the contracts using this private key on our local dev node. The contracts that are being deployed are in this source directory. If you see this permission denied error, you can solve it by this command, which is in our counter challenge. You need to run this command so that the script has a permission to access the target directory. Now I will run this script again. As you can see, the contract is deployed and we can see the contract address. So we will copy this and we need to paste this in debug contracts.tsx component. We can replace it with this one and then we can move forward with the next steps. So the next step is to copy .env.example in our .env file. This is going to create .env file with the content from the example env file. We can see the public RPC URL and private key. Now you need to run this yarn run dev command to spin up your front end to be able to interact with the contract that we deployed. As you can see, the front end is running. Now we will click on this debug contracts button, which will redirect us to debug endpoint. Here we can interact with the contract with these two buttons, check balance and give cupcake. So we will need an Ethereum address. We can copy it from here, paste it and check the balance. As you can see, currently it has 0 cupcakes. So let's give it 1 cupcake and the balance should be updated. So yeah, as you can see, the balance is updated. Now let's look at the contract. Here is a vending machine contract written in Rust. It distributes cupcakes to users, but with a twist that you can only get one cupcake every 5 seconds. So if someone tries to claim too fast, the contract tells them to wait. It's like a rate limited reward system that prevents spam. So here you can see we have two mappings. First mapping maps user addresses to their cupcake balances, and another one maps user addresses to the last time they have received a cupcake. And then we have two public functions. One is give cupcake to and another one is get cupcake balance for. So when you click on this check balance button, it calls this get cupcake balance for function, which gets the balance of the address passed from the front end and checks from the mapping what is the current balance. And when you click on the give cupcake button, it calls give cupcake to function, which checks whether the user has already claimed it within last 5 seconds or not. And if it was within the 5 seconds, then user would not be able to claim it. Otherwise, they will be able to claim it. So this is how you can deploy your contracts on local Nitro dev node and interact with it from the front end. If you go back to the home page, then you will be able to see this block explorer. The block explorer has all the transactions that we perform, all the contract creation and the function calling. If we click on any transaction, then we can see the specific details. Now let's try to deploy this contract on Arbitrum Sepolia. So for that, you need to have a Arbitrum Sepolia ETH balance in your wallet, and you need to get that private key. Once you are in this directory, you need to export your private key by running this command. Once you have exported your private key, you can run this command to deploy your contract on Arbitrum Sepolia. Here is the deployment script for Arbitrum Sepolia. Here, it deploys the contract on Arbitrum Sepolia instead of your local dev node, and it uses the private key that you recently set. Now, as you can see, the contract is deployed. We can copy this contract address and change it in this debug contracts component. Then you need to change the .env as well. You can uncomment this Arbitrum Sepolia RPC URL and comment the local one. Then you need to replace the private key. Once you have replaced your private key in .env, you can go to the front end. You can reload it and you can see that now this address is the one that you set in your .env, and you can go to the debug contracts tab. You can copy this address, paste it and check the balance. Then you can give it a one cupcake, and you can see all these transactions on Arbitrum Sepolia Explorer. As you can see, I created a contract and then interacted with it. So this is how you can deploy your contract on Arbitrum Sepolia and then interact with it. Now, once you've completed the challenge, you can submit it on Speedrun Stylus. For that, you will need a GitHub repo. So you need to push your code by creating a new repo in your GitHub account. So let's create a new repo. Once the repo is created, you can commit your changes. Once the changes are committed, you can run this command to check your current repo URL. You can see currently it's pointing to the main Speedrun Stylus repo. So we need to change it to the recently created one, and you will need to create a pet token. So for that, you can go through this pet token creation guide, and once you have your pet token, then you need to set the remote URL by running this command with your pet token like this. Once you have set your remote URL origin using this command, you can run this command to push your code. And once you have pushed the code, you can copy the repo URL and go to the challenge submission, paste it here. You can paste your contact address and then submit. The MetaMask will pop up. You need to confirm it, and as you can see, the challenge was submitted. As you can see, I have already submitted few challenges. So that was all about Arbitrum Stylus module. Thank you for watching this video.